Hi there, I'm still Chris Roland and this is still a channel with clips about teaching teenagers. This clip I think is something that's quite important to do early on in the course, which is why I'm posting it now, and to explain to you why I think it's important, I'm going to draw on a little story that I first put in, you've guessed it, Understanding Teenagers in the ELT Classroom. I think in chapter 20, so we've jumped a bit. But like I say, this is something best addressed early on. So there I talk about a story about a student of mine called Fadi. Could be Paco, could be Pavel, could be Teresa, could be Anna. I changed the names. But let's stick with Fadi. Let's imagine you start the year and you have a student called Fadi at the back of your class. Nice boy, always smiling and always quick to put his hand up and answer a question. After about 2 weeks, your director comes to you and says, "How's Fadi doing?" And you say, "Oh yeah, fine. He's a happy, smiley boy. He's always quick to put his hand up and answer a question." And your director looks at you, little doubtful, but nods, "Okay." Another 2 weeks go by, another 2 months go by maybe, and it's time for parents' evening. And along comes Fadi's mum. Nice lady, maybe a little bit more serious than Fadi, but she says, "How's my son doing?" And you say, "Oh, your son's lovely. He's always smiling. He's always got his hand up to answer a question." And she looks at you, maybe a little doubtful, but doesn't say a lot. Another month goes by. You do some first set of exams, evaluations. You take in the exams, the tests, you correct them, and you come to Fadi's test, and shock horror. He's got them all wrong. So what's happened here? Well, yes, Fadi's a nice boy. Yes, he's always smiling. And yes, he's very quick to put his hand up and answer a question. However, the questions that he normally answers are the first or second question in the exercise, the ones that are slightly easier. In fact, sometimes he even answers the one that has the answer there. And then you realise, oh, it's got the answer there. But he still answered a question. The other thing, if you'd looked more closely, is that Fadi has a course book that already has the answers in them, because it's the course book of his older sister or brother. So basically, he can repeat what he sees written there, even if they've tried to erase it. He can see something and answer the question, and so look better than he is. So my point here is that even though we think our students are doing well because they're getting the right answers, they could be like Fadi. They could be taking the easy ones. They could know how to play the game. They could be looking at the answers that are already in the book. They could be looking at their friends' answers or asking, "Oh, tell me the answer," yeah, and put up. They're working hard to make you think that they're doing what you want them to do, because at the end of the day, they're good people. They want to do what you want them to do. They want to live up to your expectations, even if they know their level is not quite there. So I think early on in the course, what we need to do is to actually have a look, watch our students doing an exercise. It's quite easy. We can do it from our class within a class. I'll talk more about that in another clip. But we set up the exercise and then ask, okay, so exercise 3, part A, ready, steady, go. Fadi, do you want to do your exercise next to me? And then we can see the ink rolling out of his pen. We can see what he's got already in his book. And then the next time we do an exercise, we ask a different student to come and be the teacher's friend, sit next to the teacher, do their exercise there, so we can see. I mean, if our lessons are based on a course book, then basically we're probably doing 1, 2, 3, maybe more exercises every lesson. Even with a large class of 30, very quickly we can have got round the whole class and seen the state of their book, whether it's got the answers in, whether they're putting the answers in themselves accurately. I think it's quite important to know what they're doing in those books. Let me give you another example. I often ask teachers, what's the total value of useless things? What's the sum of worthless endeavours? What's 0 plus 0? What's 0 plus 0 plus 0? What I mean by this, let me give you another example. It was in July. I was sitting in a class of upper intermediate students. We were doing indirect questions. And there were 3 girls sat to this side of me. We did the exercise, or they did the exercise. They didn't get the answers right. I didn't know that because I wasn't particularly monitoring. I was just sat there thinking about what I was going to buy from the supermarket during my tea break. But they'd got most of the answers wrong. So that's a 0. That was, they'd done one activity and hadn't gained from it. Then we corrected the exercise together. However, little did I know, they weren't getting the right corrections in either. So one of them had made such a mess of the spaces, there was no room to put the correct answers in. And the other 2 were just maybe not listening, they'd tuned out. It was a hot afternoon late on in the year. So now they'd done the exercise, they hadn't got anything from that. They'd corrected the exercise, but not correctly. So they still hadn't got the correct answers, 0 plus 0. Then I asked the class to do some memorization work with the answers from that exercise, repeating the sentences to each other, trying to repeat them back, using the questions as conversation questions. The 3 girls couldn't successfully practice the questions because they didn't have the right questions. And it was only at this point when I was monitoring that I realised, hey, what's going on there? That doesn't sound right. Because there we were at the point 0 plus 0 plus 0. They were on the 3rd activity and not getting anything from it. Obviously, we went back, we corrected the original exercise and we did some useful work. My point is, again, sometimes you might be horrified at what your students are actually writing down in their books when you think they're either correcting the exercises or managing to get the right answers. It really is, I think, worth having a look. So, the challenge for this part of the term in the first 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, I think is just to have a look at everybody. Watch them doing an exercise, have a look when they've finished an exercise, and when you're doing the corrections, you can say, make sure you get things down accurately, neatly, so you can work with that again. And I'm going to have a look at a few of these afterwards. So we're giving them some sort of motivation to make that presentable and make it correct. And then follow up, have a look afterwards. You've done the exercise, you've corrected it with the class. In your teacher mind, that should be the end of things. Everybody will now have the correct answers. But have they really? So we can just have a look. No, you've still got the answers to question 2 and question 7 incorrect. Go back and have another look. Yeah? So that's, I think, the most useful thing if you have a course book based syllabus. One of the most useful things you can do early on. Just have a look at everybody doing their exercises and when they've corrected their exercises. Good luck with your teaching, strength and energy.